Oh no, there you go. And now I'm going to hand over to the one and only Coach Michael Cummings to take over this panel. Over to you, mate.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Excited everyone's here, coming in from all over the world, even our team of panelists. Or we have one coming in from the Netherlands, but not our hometown, and from Portugal, and Big Chris here in the USA. So kind of jump right in. I'm going to introduce our panelists today. We love doing this. All these panelists are experts, professionals in their own field that have found a love of BlazePod and understand it as a practical, usable tool. And so we're going to get in and kind of talk about the methodology that supports the BlazePods. And that's what this is all about today, so that we can have everyone can kind of be clear about what FRX is. And we see it a lot. I've seen a lot of different people talk about it incorrectly, about the reflexes. And so we brought in some master trainers to kind of clear the air on what it is and what it isn't. So by way of introduction, we have, like I said, Chris Lane. He's out of the USA. He has been on the corporate and the private sector for well over 14 years. He's worked over that time as a sports performance coach. He's done some administrative stuff. He's an educator, speaker, nutritionist. I mean, you name it. He's he's done it in his long career. His energy is incredible, and he's doing some cool things. And he just launched some cool new gear, and I don't know, mine still hasn't arrived, so I don't know what to say about that.
I'll talk to my people.
We also have Ortal Netzer. She's from Israel, by way of she's in Amsterdam now, or not Amsterdam, but the Netherlands right now. She's the head of education for Holmes Place, which is like the largest and leading gym chain in Israel. She's responsible for the program and education systems for the instructors of the Gymnasia Sports School on the independent personal training side, also on the group training side. She's a presenter and trainer for not only for BlazePod, but TRX, Les Mills, and GunX, and is sponsored by Adidas and Samsung. So happy to have her on. We also have Antonio Lucas. I'll refer to him as Lucas today. That's what he goes by. His also has a crazy pedigree, like many of these panelists. He's on the operational and tactical side. He teaches. He's an expert martial artist, and so teaches a lot of physical fitness and hand-to-hand combat with the military over there. Also works regularly in the martial arts area. And when you have a certain skill set, you just branch off and do a lot of other physical fitness, program building, et cetera, et cetera. So all these BlazePod master trainers here are also contractors, and so they're here a minute, gone a minute, taking clients at home, and also working away, fulfilling contracts. So the way this panel is going to work is I'm going to fire some questions at them in regards to BlazePod, in regard to FRX. And so I just want to give a quick summary of what FRX is. Okay, so you've heard it. It's FRX is flash reflex training. And it's the methodology used with the BlazePods. So the pods are one thing, the methodology is the other. You can think of FRX training as like the software, and the pods in the app are the hardware or the tool that you use. And the reason why this methodology is called flash reflex training or flash reflex is because it uses the vision as the stimulus. That's the flash, right? The lights flash, it's a visual stimulus. And because reflexes are an unconscious response, which means they're automatic, they don't require the brain to create the action. That means this is the fastest a human can actually move. It just goes from stimulus to action, no brain. So there's two studies that support the DNA of this FRX training. And one's a long study of elite level athletes. These could be like, we'll call them professional athletes. And researchers realized through this study that these type of athletes were able to recognize this stimulus, process their next move, and react more accurately and faster than the less elite athlete population that were studied at the same time. The second study regards the neuroplasticity framework or the brain plasticity framework. And this states that training the cognitive and the physical separately have independent benefits. But training the cognitive and the physical together yield a combined benefit that is more than just training the brain and body independently. And that's what BlazePod is. So we at BlazePod Academy, the master trainers, believe that if you can see the stimulus faster, process the correct course of action faster, and react faster, your reaction time will be as fast as a reflex. And so that's where the reflex came in. You can't actually train the speed of a reflex, which a lot of people think that this is happening. So with that said, all of these, the panelists they're all experts at the FRX methodology. They use BlazePod within their different sectors. Chris is going to be more focused today on talking through the sports performance side, strength and conditioning side. Hortal is going to be talking from her background in fitness, and Lucas is going to be talking about how he's using FRX methodology while training his tactical athletes. And so I'm going to start with Chris here. So Chris, in the population, the sports population, what are some of the physical abilities that are important for that any athlete needs?
Sure. And probably a lot of what we're going to talk about is blanket statements, for in the foundation of everything we're going to get into. So physical attributes are the no-brainers, athlete, bigger, stronger, faster, more explosive. I mean, those are the big ones. Everybody comes in, it's like, hey, I have a son, daughter, athlete, whatever, who's trying to get to the next level, whatever that may be at whatever age or sport that may be. And we're looking to get them, the broad scope physical attributes. All this bigger, stronger, faster. However, some things that are less fun or less flashy to talk about or for content are balance and proprioception and injury prevention and flexibility, because without any of those, getting bigger, stronger, faster, as soon as the injury happens, plants you right on the bench or watching from the sidelines. Therefore, all of that training goes kind of out the window. So it's important to have a very well balanced mix in your programming, including recovery periods, because you train hard, you recover harder, because you can only, train as fast as what you can recover. So it's important for athletes and coaches to understand that and account for it in their programming.
Yeah, and I think you're right that there is going to be between all the sectors, the physical are kind of going to be the same, right? Maybe position specific need to change, or maybe people need to some need to gain weight, some need to lose weight. So, but we all will agree there. So let's ask the other question then. If the FRX methodology is about training the brain and the body together, what are some of the cognitive abilities or cognitive things that you try to focus on with specifically the sport performance athletes?
So the goal between that reflex and that decision making, the goal is to shorten the amount of time that it takes to see something, hear something, have a command, and in this case, a visual stimulus with the flash reflex training, minimize the time that it takes to see it, process it, and then physically react, to go into motion, to whatever that may be, whether it's to touch with a hand, to touch with a foot, to sprint, to jump, to drop, to press, to row, whatever it's attached to that particular drill. Maybe all of the above in some cases, based on a visual stimulus. Now, whether that's a particular collar, and different collars can mean different assignments or different exercises, different movements. So we have to be able to, one, see it, process the information, and then put that into a physical movement or reaction. And by training with BlazePod, we're able to shorten and blur that line, if you will, make it more of a gray line instead of just a hard black and white, of limiting the time and blurring the line between what is reaction and then what is reflex, something we just instantaneously do that's autonomous, that we don't have to really go through a thought process. So if we can blur that line as much as possible through such a great element and tool that is BlazePod and flash reflex training, then it's a brilliant, awesome, amazing tool that can be applied to not just athletes, who I'm speaking on in strength and conditioning, but, general fitness population, tactical population, youth development, active aging, Parkinson's disease, rehab, physiotherapy. So whatever it may be, it has not only just a place for it, but a very, well-rounded place to where, athletes, clients, whoever is using or implementing these BlazePods can benefit.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. And Hortal, so you are working with a different population, right? You're mostly in the gym setting, physical fitness setting. So these goals are a little different than an athlete who needs to run faster or not hesitate when making a decision to score a goal or something. So what are some of the goals that you are helping your client reach? And I would guess like primarily, like, what do they say? Like, what are some of the goals when they come to see you?
Okay, so first of all, I have two type of groups that are coming to my class. So one is going to be the PT, the personal trainer, that I will tailor-made the workout for him or for her. And of course, the group class that is very versatile, different emotional needs, different physical needs. So when they come to a class of FRX and or meet that tool inside of functional workout or PT workout, they just get really awake and start to be very excited about the lights and what it makes them feel. So I'm more focusing on how it make them feel and how to drag them to do a lot of physical challenges or workout or different exercise with that to stimulate them and to make them feel something special, something new that they're doing. Because it's not that easy to make everyone fall in love with fitness, and they come and investing their time and effort for getting the best out of their time. So it's something that I look at different way when I teach a group. It's just about the way they feel in the community, they feel awake, they feel stimulated, they just very excited to see something new, something that is combined with technology and the new together, and doing something that it's a community effort, some different drills. And of course, the PT is more like what they want to have to achieve with him on specific, and it's strength development or just losing weight or just feeling, I don't know, comfortable and confident with his body. So it's just to use that. It's changing from different goals. Some just come to have fun, and some just come to be a part of a community and conformity, and some just come that because they need to change their physical and their health.
Yeah, thank you for that. So the app itself measures, you know, it's all based on like timing and accuracy, right? It's like you can set it to where, you know, if someone mishits something, it goes against them. And it gives you like how long it took you to get to hit that pod, your reaction time. You can set time restraints, like how many did you get in a minute? How many did you get in 30 seconds? Or how long did it take you to tap out that many pods? So in my head, I think like no one's gonna go slow through this. Everyone's gonna try to like go as quick as possible. And kind of what you're saying is you're using that to upregulate their nervous system and to you know, hype them up and give them something like that awakens them. So my question is, I look at maximal training or somebody who's in a gym like going 100% as like high intensity interval training, right? Like, would you consider the FRX methodology or train with BlazePod? You think it reaps and a client could reap the same benefits as a HIIT program?
Oh, definitely. It's just the way you're looking at the tool, of course, and how you're using it and manipulate the intensity. You just see the clients going hard and chasing the pod, chasing the lights, but in a fun way. And then they're really avoiding how much it's difficult. And then you're showing them the score and what they achieved in the data analytics. And then you are upgrading their ability to be better and to pursue better. So definitely you can use it in HIIT and you can use it in any goals.
Yeah, we talk a lot about like the cognitive benefits and degenerative disease benefits and you know, this neuroplastination and helping people reprogram their brain to do certain abilities, like, you know, memory, active thinking, reasoning, and planning. But one thing that we don't talk about that I think is super interesting, and all I know is when I do them, I'm freaking out of breath. And because I'm going 100%, not Chris, not because I'm out of I'm a little deconditioned right now. I gotta build this too, so that might have something to do with it. But the reality is, like, when we go head to head, depending on what this is, like, I'm going all out. And so I look at like the caloric burn. I look at like, you know, all of the mTOR hormones that I'm getting, like all of the great hormone release that I'm getting by going all out all the time, which isn't something, that's a hard thing to get your clients to do, right?
Yes, it is, but it's all about what is your attitude towards it and what's your spirit when you deliver the content with that tool. You just see different people comes. I have in my class a girl, she's 13 years old and come with her grandmother and she's 70. So it's really nice to see that people find it like the Olin and you still doing a drill together, and there's something with the light that makes them more alert and more awake and more focused, and then they go for it, and it suits to everyone. You just need to know how to play with it and to build nice drill that suits to them, that you help them to succeed and to get their emotional needs as well, you know, in class. So
yeah, I like that. And I think that's what the three of you guys do so well, is that you're able to build a drill that suits their needs. And whether that's your own a customization, something that you're finding already in the app, I think that's cool. It kind of leads me to asking Lucas about the population that he's working with, which is this military. And everybody has different things going on. Or tell your personal training clients, like, there's psychological things. They may have just fought with someone, their kid's getting bad grades, like this girl's struggling to get into, you know, play volleyball. You know, Chris, like, are they going to get cut if they're not fast enough? Are they combine training? So all these different things that are stressors. And I think of a soldier. I think of somebody who is like, knows that they're going to have to maybe put their life on the line or be in different situations that are a little bit more stressful. So Lucas, what are some of the like cognitive attributes, or what are some of the things that you'll use the FRX training to help your athletes, your tactical athletes with? What are they dealing with on the regular basis?
One of the things that we can work is on the focus matter, because if you work in the shooting range, for example, you can use the lights to trying to focus, and that stimulates a situation that you have like the enemy and some hostage, for example, and you bring the colors to reach to trying to be a little more specific for the combat. The soldier will react faster to the light that we are focused on, and the other lights will distract him. So it's like simulating a reality with the lights in the control space, like a shooting range. So one of the things that we work in the military part is the focus. Most of the time is the focus, because with that we can react faster and more appropriated with the situation.
So knowing that you're training them to be skilled at these particular areas, and knowing that I guess the more times you do something, it becomes this, you know, it becomes habitual. How often are you putting them under like a time restraint, or giving like upping the ability for them to be put through stressful situations? Because I know that there are like putting time restraints behind it, or putting the, hey, you missed this or hit the wrong thing. All of those like are parameters that you can build to really create stressful situations in the person participating. Is that something that you'll plug in regularly, or how often do you kind of program something like that?
We can program that for different situations. Like a military operator must be fit. So we can work in the fitness area, and of course in the skills area, in the military skills area. In the fitness area, you can put a lot of stress with the flash reflex exercises, like using the random is the most easy way to put some stress, like putting some timeout, for example, using the exercise to trying to push more the athletes, and that's trying to recreate some military situations that could occur in the war zone, for example, and try to put that with the lights. It's not the same, of course, but you can control, like I said before, you can control the time that you want to the soldier be faster. In terms of military parts, you can use that to reach other things. We work a lot of muscular memory, you know, like in the shooting, we work a lot of that part. So without the BlazePod, it's like too boring to do that, because you're doing all the time the same thing by an hour or two, trying to bring that muscular memory to your body to react faster. With the lights, it's easier to do that part because the soldier is more motivated during the exercise, and you can control the time. Without BlazePod, we cannot control at the time, because in your eyes you cannot see the milliseconds that is faster or not, and BlazePod gives that. When you are shooting in the shooting range, for example, if you accopulate the BlazePod to the silhouette and you fire to the silhouette, you can see which time you have to react, and you can bring out the data to see what time if the soldier is faster or not. Because when you see everybody shooting 10 soldiers, for example, you cannot have the reaction times of everybody. And with BlazePod, you can. So it's one of the things that in our own eyes we cannot see, because we cannot have that data only seeing, and BlazePod brings that to us.
Awesome. Now there's something called the ecological dynamics approach, and a lot of people have really gotten behind this, the purists, and say that it's one thing to run faster, to move back and forth or whatever, but if you're in a situation like a tactical situation or working with an athlete, you need to create the environment and mimic the environment as best you can, and that has the best crossover. So Chris, knowing that if that's something that people are studying that's actually been pretty beneficial, you can have your speed day, but then you need to play fast. You have to set up drills that mimic or echo the type of drill you would do as a sport athlete, tactical athlete. What are some of the ways that you're using the pods and the methodology to kind of recreate what you drills you'd be doing with your athletes?
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect question, and to kind of touch on, so we can look at BlazePods, two different ways. And like in general fitness and for kids and for, older adults or anybody between, it kind of brings us back to childhood, like, ooh, light touch, and it's engaging and it's fun and it's exciting. So it's important to note that. But what I intentionally left out, in our opening questioning, was diving down into the deeper analytics. So, what Lucas got into was, using, and I think Ortal as well, getting into actually using those analytics and studying. And just like in sports performance and strength and conditioning, where we can do, set up and do true speed tests, like a 5-10-5 or lane agility in basketball. And then, and record those times, just like timing gates or anything else. To answer your question, how to, and this term gets thrown around a lot in our industry, like sports specific training, setting up or trying to mimic, drills. So like for basketball or American football, I'm setting up cones, I'm attaching the pods, because the pods, have so many great attachments, attaching the pods to tackle dummies, and using, a focus logic and doing a read react. For if you're approaching a cone with a basketball, if it's red, you go right. If it's blue, you go left. So there's that decision making that needs to be done. Lucas talked about, when you're on the range, depending on maybe what color, if you're doing a focus logic there, you have 3 silhouettes or 3 targets set up. You have 3 pods set over top. Whichever one lights up red, that's your target. The other 2 are innocent bystanders. We can't shoot them. We have to shoot, So setting those up and to mimic those movements, to mimic the activity, the sport, the skill set that you're trying to do is important, just as well as the true test that you can set up and repeat over time, just to compare apples to apples and see your improvement, not just feel it, see it maybe in video, but I'll get it down to the exact time, to exact millisecond of your improvement for those things. So whether it's a more traditional sports performance testing, a 40-yard dash, again, a pro agility, or how quickly your trigger finger is compressing that trigger to fire your round and then accurately hit target, it's important to come back to those to see your improvements after you've set up and gone through a block of training.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that just trained for this combine, the NFL combine that just came up, and one strength coach did, as you were mentioning, the 5-10-5 with this guy, because he knows that this guy needs to get to this pod in 1.5 seconds, and this pod in 1.5 seconds, like if he's going to break this time. And so he's setting this up in a way to actually make this athlete like fight for something, like I need to get there by this time. And I think when he was telling me that, I was like, wow, what a great way to like motivate based on like, did I get there before the light? As a coach, it'd be great to see you didn't get there, or you're this far off. This is something that we need to do to improve so that you can beat that time and get a great score.
Whether it's getting off the starting block a little bit quicker, or working on technique, or working on your timing of your steps, or your stride length, or something like that to complete that test. And again, it's really important to drive home and remember, at a superficial level, yes, it's just go touch a light. But the advanced, not just the analytics, the advanced analytics of, again, setting up, just sticking with a 5-10-5, a pro agility, not just how long did it take you to complete the drill or the test, but this is how long it took you to go from pod 1 to pod 2, from pod 2 to pod 3, and then complete the test. So you can break it down even further into those levels. Anytime you can peel out those additional levels, if you see you can get off the line and get to pod 1, but hey, something happens between pod 2 and pod 3, we break down somewhere or whatever, but we can just analyze that one little section and then strengthen the individual chains, and then connect, or chain links, and then connect those chain links back together to get a faster test or a more accurate drill.
Yeah, I like that you talked about the advanced analytics, because I've had BlazePod for a long time now, maybe 3 years. And everything I wished it could do is one of those things where I was like, man, I wish it could do this. And literally 3 months later, I get this email that's like, it can now do this. And
yeah. It's like quick turnover. And that's the testament to a great company. Sure.
Yeah, they really listen and understand that component, which is super important for me as a coach. Besides how cool I think the methodology is, the tool has to back up that methodology. Ortal, so a question for you. So you explain working, with the personal trainers, the one-on-ones, the group X, and it's fun. It can upregulate their nervous system. You're creating these, drills to help them reach their goals. So outside of, like, let's just take someone who's coming in for personal trainer, going into a gym. They're like, I just want to get lean. I want to be in better shape, or it's more general fitness, if you will. What are some of the benefits that working with the brain and body together can have on them, even when they leave the gym? Is there any crossover that happens, or is it just like when they're using these, the pods, they're getting this result? Or what are some of the crossovers that you can see from somebody just living life, like they're going on vacation, like, you are now? Is there any crossover benefit to having trained with these tools?
Okay, so what I see that most of people are, if Chris working with athletes, a lot of people following what their, I can say, sports heroes do, and sometimes they want to adapt a lot of things that they do for their lives, and thinking, why are they doing that? How can I have something like that in my class? So when I see people sometimes looking at those heroes and wants to train like them, I design them a lot of exercise and workouts that help them to uplift their fitness goals, And they say a lot of times that they feel more awake and more sharp. And when they deliver content, if they're in the office, they're more awake and more feel that they are having more energy. So it's not just about like only the fitness things, how they look. It's all about how they feel and how they can sustain their focus and their energy and also their life. And sometimes I feel they're really like upset when I'm not bringing the pods. They're really like, what is this? Why are we not doing that? To suddenly to do a burpee drill or test or something without it, suddenly it feel like I'm taking some of their fun, some of their needs like in class. When of course the BlazePod itself, the tool, you can take it everywhere. And these days people wants to feel they can train everywhere and having the app and I can just design them something to do and there's no excuse of not working out. I take my tool with me everywhere and I can play with, of course, my friends and I can do it with my kids, and people looking at that suddenly that's bringing all the family together. Now it's Easter and Passover and people suddenly like doing activities together at home and feel that the new and old coming together, the young and the old, and people that come from, of course, the like Chris, the fitness sports experts with just a regular person that just want to feel lively.
So a question
that's what
came
I
in from one of our attendees, Sarah, and it's a great question for you. She says, have you used the BlazePods for a bigger session with around 20 or 24 participants? If so, what type of session did you run, and how easy was it to set up?
Wow, definitely. I had already 3 big summits in Israel. One is coming in a month. And yeah, the first one was very challenging because you really need to set up the room and to see that everything works together. But yeah, it depends who is the crowd that comes. If it's like instructors that already teach FRX classes, they know how to work with it and they just try a class that's for professional. But for a different crowd, I just designed something simple. But I like to do a lot of circuit training with it, with different tools, with the weights, with we can do it with TRX, we can do it with every tool that you can find in the industry. So I did already quite a lot with that. And it's just to know what you write, what you're programming for the class, and be ready that something not going to work, but everything works. It's all about the atmosphere. You make the crowd go. You just go with the great energy of the class, and you just preparing yourself really well. I usually go a day before and see if everything works, but I'm just a bit crazy when it comes to be accurate in everything and the timing. And I think they really also like that there's something going on. It's like a discotheque of lights and suddenly something big is happening. And the last summit that I had, we had 42 people, 43, something like that, 43 people. And it was massive. It was people were dancing. It felt like discotheque. And it's just about moving with so much fun and great energy. And so, yeah, you can do it, but you just need to have enough equipment, enough tools, and know what you do. And you need to be safe. It needs to be secure, and you just need to prepare really well and write it down and play with it on some of your friends or on your group that you feel comfortable with, and then deliver it and try it to be the best.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll reiterate something that Chris said there, because we set up one at a big fitness event. We had about 60 people there. Yeah, think about that. And man, we beat these poor people up just because every drill is like an explosive drill. And so it was the first time we did it a couple of years ago. And now I'm learning it's like, okay, like they can't always do these really hard things. Like I need to program enough rest in there. Or there's, I love the all at once one because they're all on. You can do something, even if it's like diaphragmatic breathing for 30 seconds. When you're done, you can tap it and then move on to the next one. And so you can like slow them down so it's not like back to back. Because one thing that BlazePod did was they created collections. And so now we can take like this drill, put this drill, this drill. So now you can build workouts for your clients. And so we just got to remember to, like, as we're doing that, like plug in the time frame. Just a few minutes left here. I want to get through some of these questions. Victor may have jumped on a little bit later. He asked, can't I just train my cognitive and the, and then the physical apart from each other? And the answer is absolutely yes. The difference is that you're not going to get the result that has been proven or has been suggested by this research article that is actually in 2018. It's new, it's long, they had a big population. They basically said, if you do, your brain training here, and this is the way I look at it, you get a +1 result. If then you do your body training, your physical training, you get a +1 result. That is a 1 + 1 = 2 outcome. But the study says that if you mix or you combine cognitive with physical, you have a super additive integration or super additive result. And to me, in my head, that is a 1 + 1 = 3. And the reason that happens is just because of what we're talking about. It's like you're being able to take everything that you've been doing, the processing speed that happens in the brain, it's shortening that time. And so you're getting this result. If you're just doing brain stuff on your phone or computer or whatever, you're not allowing your whole body to physically move to do that. And so it's the combination that really is the benefit here. One other question here. And actually this is kind of what these guys do regularly. So Jonathan says, are there any courses that are going to help me get better use out of my BlazePod, specifically for basketball, but just generally? And I'll speak to it for a minute and then I'll pass it. But what these three panelists here do on a regular basis is they teach flash reflex training courses. So they're able to certify fitness professionals, performance specialists, tactical operators, whatever it is, physical therapists, like anyone can come to the course and you get course continued education credits or units towards your degree or towards your certification with any national governing body. Doesn't have to be who accredits our course, but that's what these guys do regularly. And we'll pass out some information afterward because on the BlazePod Academy website, you can find an FRX course in your area. And one of these master trainers will go out. I know that Ortal has, what have you done? Like six courses or something like that?
Yeah, I was teaching the last year 6, and we have now a pilot, a big gym that bought 5 walls of BlazePod, and they doing a try it out exactly for what that instructor asked, how to create just a class for with BlazePod. So it's a very exciting project that we're trying to make people just work with it and just focus with that and as one.
I have there's an undisclosed gym chain here in the US that is piloting 3 reactive intelligence walls. The downside to here in the US is if you go into a gym, there's no wall space. And if they do have it, it's glass or mirrors or metal or something. So I have to physically go in and build walls. But that's the same pilot that we'll template here in the US as well. So with that, we just had a course in San Francisco. We had a course, I think, that's coming up in Texas here in the US. Lucas, do you have any courses on the horizon that you're doing?
Right now, we are trying to have the accreditation part from the National Sports Institute. We are doing a course referential for the national part, because we have some different rules in Portugal. So it's important for the coaches, the fitness the trainers, to have that accreditation and brings more to them. So the process will be that, and after that we'll be giving a lot of courses, of course, with martial arts like Taekwondo, Muay Thai, for example, giving the formation to new coaches, trying to give them the knowledge to they can use better BlazePod. So this like step by step. We are trying to have the accreditation right now, and after that, probably a lot of courses in Portugal. Already talked with the national federations, like I said, Taekwondo, Muay Thai. So everything in the future is going to be very well.
Awesome. Yeah, and like we had Parisi Speed Schools ran a summit, and they were really interested in BlazePod for all their trainers, and so Chris went and represented BlazePod. Chris, how'd that go? I got a little recap on it, but there was a lot of people there, right?
Oh yeah, I mean there was, gosh, I want to say over 150. I mean, once we broke down, I mean, once the initial presentations, everybody gets out of their chair and kind of, gets warmed up, foam rolls out, and starts to kind of get activated to actually get hands-on with some of all the amazing equipment and tools and coaches that were there. I think we were one of maybe 7 or 8 rotations. Everybody got extra excited. And this isn't a knock to anybody else, but I got extra excited to be there. And if they weren't excited, once we had them step up and start to get acclimated to flash reflex training with a stationary, drill, just to kind of get them, accommodated and get their eyes, locked into the pods, they immediately started getting competitive, because that's what Tony and I was there with me. We started to compete them. So you get a room full of strength coaches and fitness professionals. We're competitive by nature. So even if it's like the last group of the day, everybody's dragging ass. As soon as you get somebody off, face to face, and we start to get a little bit competitive, everybody's competitive juices flows, and we get the best reaction and response. We had a bunch of amazing questions. Again, a lot of them we've answered here. The response was great. The engagement was great. The follow-ups and also people picking up the BlazePods afterwards to start to implement. But we had so many people from all walks, from personal training to athlete sports performance to physiotherapy. I mean, you name it, and they were represented in the house, and we were able to display to them just how effectively BlazePod can be implemented into their own style of training or therapy.
Yeah, love it. A question from Amy Kelly. Amy, if you can email me at m.cummings@blazepod.com, I'll send if anyone wants the link to the research. I could pull up the excerpt, but I don't want to shoot that. I want to give you the actual link. So m.cummings@blazepod.com, and I'll get that right to you. I'll send you more stuff than you want. And also, if you go to BlazePod Academy under research, there's a lot of really cool information that we're continuing to push there as well. This one's kind of interesting, and I'll ask you, and I have my own thoughts on it, but I'll bring it out to the team here. Should there be one of the questions is, should there be a certain amount or length of time, too much time, for a young athlete to focus on this type of training in a day, like quick hands, reaction time stuff? Who wants to answer that? I guess it says young athletes, so Chris, go ahead and take it.
Yeah, I'll kick on. So young athletes, this generation, I guess I'll start off by talking about attention span. So we're not going to overdose on flash reflex training, but if I have a young athlete for an hour session, obviously there's a lot of other attributes to train, even though BlazePod kind of bridges the gap between physical and cognitive. So we get that 1 + 1, equals 3. But that said, and as engaging and fun as BlazePods, are, we have so many other attributes that we need to accomplish, or, so many other goals within a given session that we need to accomplish. So I would base it on not saying, what is the limit to, but based on, did the tool serve the purpose for that athlete that given time? Are we doing, very stationary? Are we moving around? Because if we're doing, max effort, max speed, we're not going to run that for an hour, right? We're gassed out after, you warm up, you get 5 to 8, maybe 10 full go, runs at it before our nervous system starts to break down. We start to hit fatigue. And then after that, we've checked that box, we need to move on. Now, could we take the BlazePod to create another drill that that checks another box different than the first one of that max effort or max speed, portion of the workout? Sure. I have a hard time. Actually, I find it nearly impossible for any given client that I serve, with whatever their goal set, whatever their experience level is, to not use BlazePod for something. But I would base it more on one, attention span, and then be very clear and intentional about what the goal is that you're using it. If it's just for fun and it's for a circuit training, class, you may have, that young kid involved in some sort of just, kid fit, just stay active, stay moving, fun, child specific class. Sure, that BlazePod can stay up for one or two stations for the entire 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour, because it is so engaging. But you just have incremental drips of it. You're not, literally using it for that full time. It's just something that they revolve around through and then come back to, so they can be excited about it again. Like, oh, I really like this station. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
attention span, you know what I mean? Attention span, and then being intentional about what the goal is for that.
I think you're exactly
for example,
right.
you can see the situation about priming, for example. When you are trying to push someone to the priming situation, is less of time. So the goals is very different in that situation. For example, in kids, if you are working with kids and trying to get their attention, for example, trying to bring capabilities like concentration, for example, the priming situation is too short. Is a too short period of time. So it's like a minute in the maximum.
Yeah, and you can learn about all of this, like, if you want to do power training with them and not let them get below 85%, you can look at the reaction times. If you want to just work on someone's like fitness and conditioning for tactical training, because they're about to go 6 hours out with a backpack on, there's ways to do all of this. And that's what we really try to do when we teach these FRX courses, is we'll ask, there's an attendee list, and we'll see what your background is. If you're in physical therapy, if you're a personal trainer, if you're a tactical operator, if you're a strength and conditioning coach, we'll address those things. Yes, there's curriculum that that will be included in that, but we're going to break out and do drills that are going to support exactly what you're looking for. And that's been the real benefit of these FRX courses, because now you can go out and be an expert training with these, or some people just take it to learn more how to use them on their own. They're not even fitness professionals or in the health and wellness field. But that's the time. I think that's the amount of questions that are here. Is there let me just tell the attendees where they can find you guys. Chris, where are you located? What's your social handles and email?
Sure. Yeah, I'm located in the very southern tip of Ohio. So I actually live in a tri-state area here in the United States of Ohio meets Kentucky meets West Virginia, just across the river from Marshall University. So if you've ever seen the We Are Marshall movie with Matthew McConaughey, that's me. That's where I did my grad school at. As far as handles, on all social media platforms, I'm at Coach Chris Lane. Email is info@chrislanefitness.com, as well as website. I love to talk shop. I love to have ideas and connect and brainstorm. So if anybody has any questions, ideas, want my feedback or opinion on anything, and just don't be afraid for me to ask your opinion about something as well, please reach out. I love to talk.
Awesome. Or Tal, where can they find you when you're not in the Netherlands?
Okay, so I'm based in Tel Aviv in Israel, but I travel a lot everywhere in the world, so I might probably see you someday, hopefully. But if you want to ask me any question and get more directions how to design fitness workouts that you work with BlazePod and knows how to deliver the content for many people, for a lot of people, you can write me on onetzer.com. At gmail.com, sorry. And you can find me on social media, Ortal Netzer Fitness Hub, FitHub, in Instagram and TikTok. So if you want to write me anything or get some ideas or information, I would love to help you.
Awesome. And Simon's writing this down and sending it out the attendees, so you don't have to worry about writing it down. And Mr. Lucas, Senor, where can they find you?
So right now you can find me in Portugal, in a city called Viseu. But like I have connections in Portugal, Spain, Belgium. So I travel a lot because I'm related with martial arts, and championships normally is in Europe. So I have those connections, and the military part helps a lot too, because I was deployed several times in other countries in different situations. So I connect with the military parts of several nations too. So you can reach me out by social media. Lucas.coach is the social media part. The email is with the gmail.com. So if you want some information basically about the military part or the martial arts aspect, I can reach you out and try to reach you to the best.
Chris and I would challenge you to a Taekwondo championship, but we're both kind of like rehabbing our backs a little bit right now.
Yeah, I'm here right now, so you can see I'm in the school. So
yeah, I got about 7 black belts hanging on my wall too. Oh, there he is. Oh, he does have it. Never mind. Oh my gosh. Okay. I got to blur my background because I got nothing here. And that degree's fake on the wall. You guys, thanks so much for being here. You guys, we really cherish you guys as master trainers here at BlazePod. Thank you so much for everything you do. We're excited about 2023, more things to come, more panels, more webinars. Thank you for the research you guys are doing, pushing stuff out, and for all the hard work and everything. Everybody who attended, if there's any last minute questions, I'll wait for about 30 seconds for them to pop up. But again, we're super grateful that you jumped on to learn more about what FRX training is, why it's called flash reflex training, and how you can sign up for a course so our master trainers can get out there and teach a course. I have a course coming up in Huntington Beach, California. So if you wanna jump in, that'd be great. And Simon just says we'll send the recording with all the master trainer details, upcoming courses, et cetera, et cetera. So that's it from BlazePod Academy. Thank you guys so much. And we'll be signing off. Thank you guys. Have a great day or night, whatever time it is around the world. Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.